Hi there, welcome to live stream Yoga with Louise, tips and cues to keep you safe and strong on the mat. Today we're going to try to build a fiery burn using the resistance band. I've got both a short and a long medium resistance band. I find that with some of the movements, the smaller band is going to be easier. There's less excess hanging, but with some of the work, especially when you've got a loop around the legs, I find that having a longer band just gives you a little bit more play options, especially if you're on the tall side. As always, play where you're comfortable, modify where you need to, and rest as often as need be. You ready? Let's hit the mat. All right, we're going to set up for today's class, standing more or less in the middle of the mat. You're going to start with your feet in a parallel stack, but we'll change the setup just now. Just find a comfortable stack, all 10 toes looking to the front of the mat. Stand up nice and tall, tuck your tailbone under, pull your belly button in, and start for me by grasping the Theraband. You can pinch it between the thumb and the index finger, almost holding it in a little fist, a little bit wider than shoulder width apart. Take a big breath in and then float the hand, the band just overhead and give it a tug out and then come back to your start position. I want you to start creating a little bit of resistance in your work. So as you pull out and then come back to your start position, don't let the band totally slacken. I want you to create a little bit of resistance with the band. Remember to stand up as tall as you can. Keep those inner thighs switched on, so keep gently squeezing the energy between the inner thighs together. One more like this. Then drop back to your start position and take your grasp a little bit wider than shoulder width apart. You're going to bring the band all the way behind you to just above your bum and then come back to your start position. Remember to create resistance, so you're almost pulling out into a full T as you float the band overhead and behind you to tap your bottom and come back to your start position. If you find that a full 360-degree rotation through the shoulder is not for you, just stay with the previous exercise, stopping when the band is overhead or maybe just in front of your headline. Keep working with resistance, keep your inner thighs switched on and keep pulling up softly from your pelvic floor towards your waistline. Let's do 2 more and then we'll change the leg setup. Last one. Look down towards your feet and float into a small Pilates V. So the heels are together and the toes are softly splayed out. You're going to narrow your grasp on the band again. And start for me by just floating onto the toes and then reconnecting your heels. Once you have the leg movement down, you can add the arm movement. So starting with your grasp just about hip width distance apart, you're going to come to about shoulder height, tug the band apart, and then float back down. So you're sinking the arm and the leg movement so that you land back down on the floor, more or less at the same time that you bring the band back to its start position. Tug out. And because you're in that V position, you've got a little bit more activation now through those little supportive muscles that run along the inside and the outside of the leg. Let's do one more. Come back to your start position. This time, keep the whole foot grounded. Just give me a little bend in the knee and then come back. But as you're bending through the knee, check that your knees are not tracking further than the first 2 toes. All right. You've got the legs going, let's add the arms. So you're going to your start position is with the arms in line with your shoulders. As you can take the band a little bit wider, as you open up the legs, I want you to open up the arms into a full T. So readjust after the first one so that you're bringing your arms into a full T and the band is actually touching your chest bone as you open up. Try to keep the arms up nice and high, so arms are more or less in line with your shoulders and try not to drop that line as you play. Let's do 4. Keep working that resistance. Last 2 to go. As you complete the last one, drop the band, relax it, take your grasp a little bit narrower. Again, you're going to set up a little plie line. So starting with your right leg, behind you. Big toe is more or less in line with your right hip. You're going to start for me by having the band out in front of you, and you're fisting at about shoulder height. You're going to tug the band and come back to your start position, trying to maintain as much resistance as you can. At the same time, you're going to give me a single leg lift on the right, and you're going to tap back out to the mat. Readjust the tension on the Theraband after the first round. So there's quite a lot of resistance on the band now, and you're trying to keep it relatively taut, creating more and then less resistance. Sink your pull out so that it sinks at the same time that you're lifting that leg behind you. You're going to end high, keep the tension in the band, and give me tiny little pulses for 10, 8, 6, 4, 2. The arms should be burning. Bring it back down to your start position. Shake the legs out. We're going to repeat that little arabesque on side 2. Find your setup frame. You've still got that turnout position on your support side, and you're keeping the whole foot grounded. Find your tap out position. Float the arms up. So arms stay at about shoulder height, and you're starting with the band relatively taut. Create more resistance and then less resistance. So the band never slackens on this one, and you're keeping the hands nice and high at shoulder height. Should be a nice little burn in the arms now. Let's do 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. You're going to end high. Hold the band as tight as you can. Arms are quivering. 8, 6, 4, 2. Last one, float back down. Give your arms a little shake out. Give the legs a little shake out. Maintaining the turnout position, we're going to play with a little roll down. Let's find the roll down, and then we can add to it. So at first, just allow the band to slacken, and the arms are relaxed. Fists maybe just gently cupping alongside your body. Start with a nice tall stack, chin line parallel to the floor. Take a big breath in to prepare. On the exhale, nod your chin to your chest. Almost hollow out the belly as if you were stretching over a big ball. So you've got a nice hollow belly, and then peel down one vertebra at a time, taking it down as far as you can. Activate your inner thigh connection to peel back up, restack, and realign. Find your roll down first. Make sure you're using the whole exhale to peel down with control. The arms are dangling, and there's no work happening with the Theraband now. We're going to add it in a moment. All right, let's add to it. So the next time you roll down, when you hit about the tabletop line, you're going to start bending the knees, and you're going to come into a butterfly haunch. You're going to float the band out in front. You're going to give it a tug to T, and then you're going to slacken the band, readjust, retrace your path back up to your start position. All right, big breath in. Keep the turnout position. Nod your chin to your chest. When you hit about the tabletop line, start bending the knees, floating the heels up off the floor, coming into a little modified butterfly haunch. Pull the band into a full T at shoulder height. Then reconnect your feet. Hollow out your belly, round out your back, restack and realign to come back to your start position. Whole exhale peels you down with control. Float up onto the toes. Band is extended out in front. Pull it into full T. So you're allowing the band to lightly touch your chest as you pull those arms out into a full T. Rinse and repeat. Make sure that you're finding a steady rhythm of your own. And if you're struggling with the butterfly haunch position from the turnout, you could try a parallel foot line. Or alternatively, you could just stay with the roll down. As you come back up, let's float the arms out in front and add another full T in. So you're giving me one full T at the top of your movement and one full T at the bottom of your movement. So starting to add a little bit more work. Starting to build that little fiery burn in the arms. Find a steady rhythm of your own. going to do one more full one, and then we'll use our last set to find our way into a seated frame at the top end of the mat. So at your last horse, give me one last pull out into T. Bring the band slowly back. Place your hands on the floor if you need to, and set yourself up in a seated frame towards the top end of the mat with enough room to play. Legs are nice and long. You're going to take the band and you're going to loop it around 1 foot. Make sure that you've got the same amount of play on both sides of the band. You're going to sit up nice and tall in staff pose, so you're not hanging off your tailbone. You've moved your bum flesh out the way. You're making sure that you're anchoring through both of your bum bones. You're sitting up nice and tall with your shoulders stacked over your hips. All right, you're going to create a little bit of tension on the band, so tug, and then you're going to begin lifting and lowering the right leg, not allowing the right heel to tap the floor. So there's a fair amount of resistance on the band as you lift and lower. Keep that high seat and readjust your arm line. So remember, the closer you are to your foot, the more tension there's going to be on the band. The further away you are, the less tension there's going to be on the band. So you need to readjust and create the right amount of work for you. Then relax the foot down, cross the band, left over right. You're going to anchor the right hand, and you're just going to give me a pull on the left, as if you were pulling your fist towards your shoulder line and back towards your foot. Knuckles are looking down towards the floor. Maintain that high seat. Let's do 5, 4, 3, 2. Last one, we're going to change legs. Lift the band off, loop it around your left foot. Make sure that you've got the same amount of tension. Create enough tension for you. So the length of your leg is going to determine how close to your foot or how far away from your foot you need to be. You're going to begin lifting and lowering, and you can soften at the elbow to create a little bit more tension in your Theraband. Lifting and lowering with a lot of resistance. That band is preventing your foot from reconnecting to the mat. Last one. You're going to cross left side over right. Anchor on the left, so the left arm is just relaxed, keeping the tension in the Theraband. You're going to pull the right band towards your shoulder or your ear and come back to your start position, maintaining that high seat. So you're bracing actively into both feet, and you're pulling up really strongly from the pelvic floor all the way to the crown of the head to keep that nice high seat. All right, last one. You're going to roll it down from here. So step both of your feet into the Theraband, and if you find that you need a little bit of additional padding, you can place it into position now. At this stage, I'm going to change my band, and I'm going to take a little bit of a longer band so that I've got more play options. I'm going to sit up nice and tall, and you can either just keep the band in parallel, or you can cross the two strands of the band so that you've got a tighter connection to the feet. Make sure that your feet are active, and you might need to readjust your arm line after the first one. So give yourself a fair amount of tension on the Theraband. Sit up nice and tall. On an exhale, nod your chin to your chest. Start hollowing out your belly and rounding out your spine. Peel down as slowly as you can. Remember, you've got the Theraband to assist you now. So think slow motion. Really, really as slowly as you can. Connect to the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Just off your shoulders, look towards your feet. Then use the rest of your exhale with the Theraband to peel yourself back up into the start position. I want you to do today's roll down as slowly as you can. So really think of moving slowly, as if you were running a film in slow motion. Reconnect one vertebra at a time, agonizingly slowly, using that tension in the Theraband. So slow it down. Inhale, halfway lift. Use the rest of the exhale in the Theraband to slowly peel your way up to start. Having the Theraband as a little bit of an assist today enables you to really forge a strong connection to your core, and you should be able to feel each little briquette line of your 6 or your 8 pack as you come down to the mat. Peeling up and down with control. Remember to keep looking in towards your belly button, both on the roll down. And then as you start to peel back up, look back down towards your belly button. So you're not looking up to the sky. You're looking down to your belly button. You're peeling up with control. We're going to do one more down. And if you find that you do have a little bit of padding underneath your back, just slip it out once you've come down after your last one. Peel it down with control. Once you've connected to the mat, you're going to step your left leg out of the Theraband. You can either keep the band looped or crossed, or you can take it back into a parallel line. I'm going to work with a little parallel line. So you're going to keep your right leg stepped into the Theraband. You can either keep your supported leg connected to the mat, or you can extend the leg and brace into the heel. Let's start with the bent leg. Creating a fair amount of tension on the Theraband, you're going to drop the leg down and float it back to your start position. You can relax your elbow points into the mat, creating that tension in the Theraband as you play up and down. If you're feeling comfortable here and you don't need support for your lower back, you can extend your support leg. If you find that you need a little bit more work, you can scoop to peel up off the shoulders even while you're anchoring on your elbow points and play with quite a lot of resistance as you lift and lower. All right. Peel back down to the mat and step both of your feet into the Theraband. Fair amount of tension. Make sure you've got the same amount of tension on both sides. Same movement, but you're going to double up. Bringing your legs all the way down to hovering just off the floor and back to your start position. Drop your elbows and your triceps to the mat, using them as a steady anchor. If this is not enough work, you're going to scoop to peel up off the shoulders, looking down towards your pubis as you play with the same movement. Let's do 4, 3, 2, last one. Come back down to the mat, step your right leg out, readjust your hold position, and give me a single set on the left. Either keeping your head and your shoulders on the mat, or if you need a little bit more work, you can scoop to peel up off the shoulders, looking down towards your pubis as you play with the same movement. Then step both legs into the Theraband, readjust your hold position, and double up again. Creating as much resistance as you come down, and then bringing it back with a fair amount of resistance. So you're just increasing and decreasing that resistance, but the band is never slack. You're going to end with both legs on the mat. Step your left leg out, and the band is just looped around your right foot. You're going to anchor into the mat, and you're going to float softly. You're going to raise the leg up. Start with the leg hovering just off the mat. You're pushing softly off your elbow points and your tricep. If you need more work, you can scoop to peel up. Keep your left leg braced as you raise up and down. Stop with that leg on the floor, release the tension, and step both feet into the Theraband. Readjust your arm line, find your anchor. Lift and lower both legs in unison. Starting with both feet hovering just off the floor and trying to pull up towards the 90 position if you can. Let's do 2 more. Then we'll step the right leg out and we'll play just on the left. So end hovering just off the floor. Maybe relax the hands so that you can step the right foot out. So you just looped around the left foot. Find your elbow anchor and begin lifting and lowering with resistance. Either keeping your head and your shoulders on the mat or scooping to peel up off the shoulders, but make sure that your support leg stays active, whether your head's connected to the mat or not. All right, last one. Step your foot out of the Theraband. Bend the knees and connect the soles of the feet to the mat. If you've got a long Theraband, just fold it double. Bring your legs into table and then cross the right leg over the left. You're going to drape your Theraband around your shins. You're going to keep the cross of your feet at table. So you're not dropping the feet so that they're resting on the back of your thighs. You're trying to maintain a tabletop position with a nice little 90 behind your knees. You're going to pinch the Theraband between your index finger and your thumb on both sides. Scoop to peel up and then play a modified 100 by tugging on the Theraband. And if you find that a double is too much for you, you can just play with a single strand of the Theraband, grasping it firmly and playing with your 100 vigorously, beating the arms up and down with a little bit of resistance, inhaling for a count of 5 and exhaling for a count of 5. Inhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Slowly peel your head and your shoulders back down to the mat and step or loop your band around the right foot. All right, you're going to come back into your tabletop line, but the band is only around your right foot. Readjust your grasp position on the Theraband so that you've got the same amount of play on both sides of your strand. You're going to scoop to peel up. You're going to actively kick into your Theraband. You've got a fair amount of tension. You're going to bend and extend on the right side only while keeping your left leg in table. You scooped, you peeled up off the shoulders, your lower back and your mid back is imprinted. You've got about 2 fingers of air between your chin and your chest. All right, step both feet into the Theraband. Readjust your grasp position and then bend and extend the legs in unison, keeping that scoop position. So try to keep your lower and your mid back imprinted. Weight just off the shoulders, about 2 fingers of air between the chin and the chest. Let's change it up. Step the right foot out, readjust your grasp position. The band is now only looped around the left leg as you bend and extend. 5, 4, 3, 2, the last one. Peel back down to the mat. Find your tabletop position, cross the left leg over the right. Using a single or a double strand, we're going to come back into a 100. So you're draping the strap over your shin bones. You're pinching the ends of the Theraband between your index finger and your thumb. Scoop to peel up off the shoulders. Hold your tabletop position as you vigorously pump the arms up and down, inhaling for a count of 5, exhaling for a count of 5. Inhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. You might find that the feet bob slightly because you're pulling onto it with the Theraband, and you have to almost resist against the Theraband to keep that tabletop position on the legs. Inhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Last one. Slowly unbind your legs. Keep them in the tabletop line. Take the Theraband and float it overhead. I want you to tug out so that there's a fair amount of tension on the Theraband. Keep that tension on the Theraband as you drop both knees just off center to the left. Pause. Bring your legs back to center and ease up the tension on the Theraband. Then tug back out, lock the band in position and drop both knees off center to the right. Hold. As you bring the legs back to center, you ease up the tension on the Theraband. As you drop to the left, you tug out on the Theraband, keep that tension. Bring everything back to center, easing up on the tension. As you drop to the right, tug out. Bring it back. You're going to give me one more to each side. So a lot of tension on the Theraband as you drop off center. Hold. Ease up on the tension as you come back to the middle. Drop off center on the other side. Hold. Bring it back to center. Tugging out again and trying to keep that tension on the Theraband. You're going to circle the legs together clockwise. As you complete the circle, release the tension. Then pull back out, lock the band in position, and take your circle in the opposite direction. Only once you've traced the complete circle do you release the tension in the Theraband. Tug out, lock the band in position, moving clockwise as if you were using your knees to trace a circle around a tennis ball. Once you complete the circle, release the tension. Tug back out. Let's trace anti-clockwise. Release the tension once you've completed it. Let's do one more full set to each side, trying to connect to the full spectrum of your abs as you circle out. Don't rush your circle. Inhale for half. Maybe exhale for the other half. Once you've completed your last one, you're going to gently roll over onto your side. And the easiest way to do this one is from a seated frame. Take the Theraband and let's start on the right side. So loop the Theraband around your right foot. Make sure that you've got the same amount of play on the ends of your Theraband. Then roll over onto your side. And once you're on your side, step both of your feet into the Theraband. You've got a slight banana frame on the mat, so your feet are just in front of your hip line and your anchoring hand is just in front of your shoulder line. So you've got a slight banana frame to the body. You're going to hold or grasp the Theraband in both hands. You're going to knuckle or fist your hands and you're going to push your knuckles into the floor. Create pull up, so create enough tension so that when you float both legs off the mat, it feels like you're working to keep the band there. Hold for 10, 8, 6, 4, 2. Lift and lower both legs in unison, trying to hover your feet just off the mat. Let's do 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, last one. Come all the way down, step the bottom foot out of the Theraband, readjust your grasp position if you need to so that there's enough tension on the Theraband, anchor down into the mat. You're going to lift and lower the top leg in parallel. So you're bracing actively into the foot. All 10 toes are looking or facing in the same direction and your anchoring foot is braced. All right, 2 more. Then release the tension, step your bottom foot into the Theraband and step your top leg out. Readjust the tension on the Theraband. Raise your top leg up so that it's just a little bit higher than hip height. You're going to anchor your hand into the mat and you're going to lift and lower the bottom leg towards your raised top leg, not allowing that bottom leg to touch the mat as it comes back down. Keep belly to spine the whole time. Last one. Relax the tension in the Theraband. Step the top leg in and step the bottom leg out. Readjust the tension on the Theraband if you need to. You're going to give me a slight turnout position. So you're going to drop the bottom heel towards the floor and the toes are looking up to the ceiling. Find your anchor in the mat. Lift and lower that leg. Keep the turnout position on the top leg. 6, 5, 4. That top leg should be speaking to you. Come back to your start position. Drop the toes towards the floor and take the heel towards the ceiling and back. So you're almost working an arabesque line, but you're lying on the side of the body. Let's do 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, last one. Roll onto your back, readjust yourself so that you're centered in the middle of the mat. Keep the band looped around your right foot. Bend your supported leg, connect the sole of the foot. Grab as close towards your foot line as you can without bending the knee. So if you find that your knee starts to bend, rather give yourself more play on the Theraband. You're going to actively tug down on the Theraband, creating as much resistance as you can. So soften through your elbow points if you need to create even more tension. Tug down, drop your right toes towards your nose and take your left heel to the ceiling. Let's keep our supported leg bent today. Just give yourself a couple of relaxed breaths here. Make sure both shoulder blades are equally weighted into the mat. Your gaze is straight up towards the ceiling. Your head is nice and heavy into the mat. Then grasp hold of the Theraband in your left hand. Just make sure that you've got enough room to play. T-shape your left hand, palm down or up. And you're going to open up the left leg, tugging actively on the band to create more resistance as the leg opens up. But just open up as wide as you can. Make sure that you're keeping your anchoring shoulder, your left shoulder, connected to the mat. And your gaze today is straight up to the ceiling, or you can look in the opposite direction to your leg. Then float everything back to your start position, and we're going to play with a modified rocker. Step both of your feet into the Theraband. Feet and knees are about hip-width distance apart. You're going to try to keep that frame. Tugging actively on the Theraband, you're going to hollow out your belly, round out your spine, and you're going to rock up. Tug as much as you need to on the Theraband, then hollow out your back, round out your belly, and start rocker style, rolling your body back and forth, creating as much tension as you can on the Theraband. Keep that hollow belly. Make sure you're rounding out your spine so that you're not bruising the spine, and only roll back as far as your shoulder blades and then back up. All right, last one. You're going to end seated, and then just give me a little boat extension, maybe dropping your elbows and finding a nice little boat line. Hold for 10, 8, 6, 4, 2. You're going to drop down. You're going to give me a little swivel, and you're going to set up that side work on side 2. So make sure that you're working the left leg now. We worked the right leg on the previous round. Find your way onto the side. Oops, remember, easiest way is to loop the Theraband around your top leg, so your left leg. Lie on the side of your body, and then as you come onto the side, step both feet into the Theraband. Make sure you've got the same amount of play on both sides of the Theraband as you come into position, and give yourself a slight banana frame on the mat. So your feet are just in front of your hip line, and your anchoring arm is in front of your shoulder line. Lie down. You're going to tug on the Theraband. You're going to raise both of your feet off the mat in parallel, creating a fair amount of tug on the Theraband, and hold. You can anchor your hands into the mat, or you can float them, but create that tension. Then lift and lower, lift and lower, lift and lower. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, last one. Peel back down to the mat, step your bottom leg out, and readjust the strap if you need to. Fist it, anchor it into the mat, and begin lifting and lowering your top leg in parallel. So all 10 toes, even the toes of your anchoring foot, are facing in the same direction. You're actively bracing into the whole foot, and you keep moving in a parallel line. Last one. Peel back down, release your tension somewhat, step the bottom foot in, step the top leg out, raise the top leg up so that it's maybe just a little bit higher than hip height. Anchor your hand, and then begin lifting and lowering the bottom leg, creating a fair amount of resistance on that Theraband as you lift and lower. Two more. Release the tension, step both feet into the Theraband, then step the bottom leg out. Anchor your hands. Let's do the first one in the turnout position. So drop your top heel to the floor. Toes of the top leg are looking up to the ceiling. Keep that turnout position as you lift and lower the leg. Keep playing with that tension on the Theraband. It's not a high kick. You're not coming up higher than about hip height. That top leg should be burning. Let's do two more, and we'll change the foot line. Drop the toes of the top leg towards the floor, and arabesque fashion, you're kicking slightly behind you as you think of raising the top heel towards the ceiling and coming back down. Create a fair amount of tension on that Theraband. Let's do four more, and then we're going to roll over onto the back from here. So when you're ready, roll over onto your back, keep the band around your left foot, readjust yourself in the middle of the mat, make sure you've got enough room to play. Bend your supported leg, connect the sole of your supported foot to the mat, extend your left leg up towards the sky, bracing actively into that foot, tug down on the Theraband, creating as much resistance as you can while keeping the whole leg extended. Just hang here for a bit, increasing that stretch. Drop the left toes towards your nose and take the left heel up to the ceiling. Make sure your shoulders are equally weighted, your whole back is equally weighted. Give yourself a few breaths here. And then we'll change the setup. Grasp the Theraband in your left hand. Remember, the closer you are to your foot, the more resistance you're going to create. And just T-shape your supported hand. You're going to open up the leg to the side of the room, either looking straight up to the ceiling, or you can float your head in the opposite direction. If you need more work, actively bend the elbow of your left hand and think of drawing the elbow in towards your body line, tugging on the Theraband at the same time, so you're creating even more resistance on the Theraband. Hold for a few steady breaths here, and then we'll find our way into rocker before we come to a little standing series to end off today's class. Peel your leg back to your start position, stepping both feet into the Theraband. Feet and knees are more or less hip-width distance apart. You're going to bend at the knees. Find that little tug on the Theraband so that you're creating resistance. You're going to rock up. Find your balance, hollow out your belly, rock back to your start position. Tugging actively, so you're almost dropping your elbow points towards the floor to create a little bit more resistance with the Theraband. You're going to end seated. Find a little boat extension, dropping your elbow points, almost as if you were squeezing your elbows in towards your hip line, and then extend the legs, so create as much tension on the Theraband as you can comfortably manage. All right. From here, you're going to find your way into a standing frame on the mat. Give yourself room to play on either side. Let's replicate that work that we did from a supine position. So you're going to step your right foot into the Theraband with more or less the same amount of play on the Theraband. You're going to think knee to nose on the right. You're going to grasp hold of the Theraband with your right hand. Left hand either relaxed at your side, or maybe You're just resting it comfortably on your hip bones, and you're going to extend the leg out in front, holding the stretch for maybe a slow count of 5 or 10. Then open up the leg to the side of the room, keeping that tension on the Theraband. Both hips are looking forward. Heel back to your start position. Loose the strap, or don't lose it, just hold it in your right hand and come to a baby tree with the whole foot just anchoring below your knee line. Take the Theraband behind you, make a little fist, so back view. You're grasping the Theraband in your fists, knuckles are looking up to the ceiling. You're going to tuck out and pull up, and you're going to hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Drop back down, both feet stepping together. I'm going to give you a back view. You're going to make a little fist with your right hand. In your lower back, you're going to drape the Theraband over your shoulder, and you're going to reach for it with your left hand. You're going to make a little fist, and you're going to pull up to the ceiling, and you're going to hold that stretch. So Theraband nice and taut. You're going to drop your chin softly down so that you're not tensing at the neck, and you're going to hold for 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, relax, bring it down. Let's rinse and repeat on side 2. Step your left leg into the Theraband. Make sure that the band's comfortably between the ball and the heel of the foot. Think knee to nose. Grasp the Theraband with your left hand, creating as much tension as you need to. Right hand soft and relaxed at your side or braced on your hips. Extend the leg out, maybe bending your left elbow if you need to create even more resistance on the Theraband. Hold for maybe a slow count of 5 or 10. Then when you're ready to come into the B-line, open up to the side of the room. Soften that elbow, create some more tension on the Theraband. Hold for a further count of 10. Then bleed your way back to the center line. Feed the strap off your foot. Mine is stuck. Come to a tree line. Baby tree, so you're below your knee line. Float the band behind you. Grasp your knuckles up. Pull the band out. So you're thinking out and up. And hold for 10, 8, 6, 4, 2. Step both feet together. Bend your right hand. Anchor it in your lower back. Drape the strap over your left shoulder. Then reach for it. Just move your hair out the way if you do have long hair. Grab hold of the strap. Tug it up to the sky and hold for 10, 8, 6, 4, 2. Bring it back down. That concludes today's class. Thank you so much for coming out and playing today. Hope you enjoyed today's Theraband class. Give me a thumbs up if you did enjoy. Remember to shoot me your comments below. Make sure your notifications are on. Be ready for playtime on the mat tomorrow. Till then, keep it light.